So, Michael, you are running on the Libertarian ticket. And can you tell me and our audience a little bit about yourself and how you came to be on the Libertarian ticket?
How much time do you have? No, seriously. I was a Republican for 41 years, and for 41 years, I went to the voting booth and I pressed Republican, 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 and no matter what the issues were, I would press Republican. I think a lot of people have been like that. They vote party lines. They're susceptible to being labeled a conservative or a liberal or a Democrat or Republican. And the fact is, about a year and a half ago, I was not happy the way things were going. Trying to get a job, at some point, I went from the young guy everybody wanted to the old guy nobody wanted, and I had trouble getting work. And I was looking at what the state of our country and the way we're doing it, the money we're spending overseas, 900 military bases, 136 countries, a government that's out of control, it's in our face, from things as stupid as the size of Coke we're drinking to trying to regulate our bedrooms, or regulate us in the bedroom. And I started looking for other things to do. And friends of mine said to me, why don't you quit whining about it and start doing something about it? So I decided, after some reflection, to run for Congress. And I started running as a Republican, thinking that, well, that's what I always was, so that's what I am. But what I found out is, after having gone through the petition process as a Republican for the Republican primary and speaking to people, I realized that I really wasn't a Republican. Now, my election lawyer and my friends said, well, you should run as a Republican in the primary anyway, because you get your name out there. And I said, no, that would be hypocritical, because the fact is, I am no longer a Republican. Their values, what they do, the line between Democrat and Republicans is so blurry that I don't really hear a difference between them. They sound the same to me. I listen to them and they drone on about what one says, what the other one says. And the fact is, there is no difference. No matter which one wins, we're going down that road to ruin. And I really mean that. I'm sorry to say.
I agree.
So I looked at the Libertarian platform, among many others, and I found that it really does grab me, because the Libertarian platform is basically about individual liberty. And what makes us exceptional as a country is the fact that we're free. I mean, that's the difference between us and other countries. It's not that we have more money. It's not that our streets are paved with gold, or that we're better or worse or smarter or dumber. The fact that we're free is what works. That's what makes us exceptional. And I'm seeing that our liberties are being stripped away point by point, from the Patriot Act to the NDAA to drones to, right down to the cameras on the intersections taking pictures of us as we go through to tell us we went through a red light or not. And I've really found that I am a libertarian. And I think many of the people that are out there in the audience, that are in the electorate, are libertarians and just don't know it, because they don't truly understand what a libertarian is. And that's really my story as far as why I'm a libertarian. So I changed my affiliation from Republican to a Libertarian. It doesn't take effect until November 7th after the election, so I was able to vote in the primary. But I did not submit my Republican primary petition, because I felt it was hypocritical. And win or lose, I wanted to run based on principle. And I think principle before party and country before party is the way everybody should be thinking now. So I'm hoping that people will vote Libertarian, because the Democrat-Republican monopoly is just not working for us. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Also, tell me a little about your personal life. I know you have kind of a unique situation that I think, to me, at least from what I know, makes you a little different from a lot of people. So tell us a little bit about your home life.
I was divorced. Like. I was divorced from my first wife when my 3 girls were 4, 5, and 6 years old, and I raised them by myself. I learned how to French braid hair and dress them appropriately and do their homework and all this kind of stuff. And I raised them as the mother and the father. And their mom was involved, with them, and she had visitation, but I was really the sole provider, sole custody. And I took care of them and I raised them. And I'm very proud to say I have 3 children now that are 30, they're probably going to kill me, but it's 31, 32, and 34. Mm-hmm. But they keep having birthdays every year, so it gets a little confusing. And I have my second marriage, I have a fourth daughter who's now 7, and she's a pip. And she was very helpful in the petition process, because nobody could say no to her. And I'm a real estate broker. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I've had a lot of difficulty earning money. And rather than stay at home, I decided to run for Congress, because I think that having a libertarian and a person that has read and respects the Constitution in Congress is something unique these days, because I don't think the Democrats, Republicans really care too much about the Constitution. And I'm sure they'll all say, "Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do." But you know, the acts speak a lot louder than the words.
Yeah,
And
they don't
so my personal
understand.
life, I'm 59 years old. I graduated from World Melville High School in 1971. I ran for senior class president and lost. Learned a lot. In 1986, I ran for the Hauppauge School Board, which is where we lived, and I was on the school board 1 year, just as a board member. We had no tax increase that year, first time ever in Hauppauge. In the next 2 years, I was the president of the school board, and we lowered taxes each year.
Wow.
And that's quite
An accomplishment in
it
any
really,
situation, especially
yeah,
with the way
yeah.
government
I went through teacher
runs.
negotiations. We did a lot on the school board that made sense. We've had other interviews where I cover that more in depth. And I have to say that it has prepared me in a lot of ways to be able to run in Congress and do things in a little bit different view than just vote Democrat or just vote Republican. I'm planning on not reaching across the aisle to a Democrat or across the aisle to a Republican. I want to be in the aisle and reach halfway to both and try to get them to first decide if a bill is presented, is it constitutional or is it not? If it's not constitutional, the answer is just no. If it is constitutional, okay, let's talk about what's the best way of doing something. But this Congress the 112th Congress has passed 176 laws. Some libertarians would say that's a good thing because they didn't pass too many bad laws. But in 1945, Harry Truman's Congress was labeled by Harry Truman as the Do-Nothing Congress because they only passed 906 laws. So now you look at what was going on then and what's going on now, and basically Congress does not work. Congress is broken. We have to make Congress work, and the only way to make Congress work, I think, is to get some independent libertarian type thinking people in the aisle reaching across both sides and making something happen, because it's just not happening.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking people to do is stop voting the way you always voted. You're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, you're not a liberal, you're not a conservative. I mean, let's just vote principle. What are your principles? What would you like to see happen? Because a lot of people say that if you waste your vote by voting on me, then the Democrat or the Republican will get in. But you know what happens if everybody wastes their vote on me? I win. And why don't we try it? We can always go back to the, more armies, more wars, more spending, more taxes, less tax. We can always go back to that if you don't like the freedom and liberty that I'm suggesting. So I think we should vote for me. And that's a good closing statement, but we're in the very beginning of this debate. So I'm going to stop talking now and maybe we'll get to the questions.
All right. Thank you so much, though, because that was very insightful, because I don't think a lot of people understand or really know what the candidates' experience are or have an actual track record of lowering taxes in their career. And I think the fact that
Imagine
you
that.
have that basically as part of your experience or able to achieve it is very important before we move forward with the question. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And if you watch the debate on News 12 between the Democrat and the Republican, the two Steves, you'll see that my views, which is what I think a lot of libertarians and principled people would understand, you'll see the difference. It's stark in contrast. And I'm hoping that we can get that message out to people and they can really make up their mind just whom they want in Congress representing them in the 3rd District.
All right, so let's move forward with the questions.
Okay.
All right.